this. Every time I ask girls questions, now I do this every time. I'll ask them 3 questions. I'll stop asking, and I'll just sit there and enjoy how like awkward it gets because they just can't think of how do I get out of this situation? How do we continue? What do I do? What? He's not asking me anything. Does he not care about what I'm thinking anymore? What do I say? Well, okay. And they'll just look at their phone. They'll pull their phone out. I guess I'll see if anyone wants to talk to me on Instagram. It's like, look at this.
Oh my God.
I've got a life too. I foster cats, goddammit. There are stories to be told.
Vibing and thriving. Vibing and thriving. I'm excited now.
This episode of We Are New is brought to you by PANAMANIAN anal beads. These are anal beads. They're not from Panama, but who doesn't love to say PANAMANIAN anal beads? These are anal beads that are, I think they make them in New Jersey, but they say PANAMANIAN anal beads on them. So who doesn't want to get some of those? You know what I mean? PANAMANIAN, it's hard to say. I can't, but it's brought to you by them. The show is. This needs a little Rooney.
Hello.
Hello.
What a crazy fucking week, babe.
Yeah, holy shit. This is a lot. This is a lot of stuff that we did.
Yeah. That's an understatement.
Yeah, where to start? Mom died. My mom died this last week and then came back to life. This is an important thing to say right away after that. I say it with a slight grin because I don't process things well without making jokes out of them. You have a nice somber face and tone because you are allowed yourself to be sincere. I'm not great at that. Yeah, my mom had a pretty serious heart attack. Normally wouldn't be super public about it, but she got on Facebook right away and was like, this is what's up. So, yeah, we're glad she's doing better. It was a scary thing. We were here, got a call on a Sunday night. She was in the hospital having this heart attack. Booked a flight right away, left the next morning, went down there, and she bounced back really well.
Yeah, it was actually pretty insane to watch because I got there a few days after you because of work, and
right.
Just seeing her at the hospital and then her being back at home, it was honestly wild in the best way to just see how well she was doing.
Well, and when something like that happens that is that big, doctors, if they're good at their jobs, they have such a delicate job to do, but they do a good job of it normally because they're like, manage your expectations. She's alive. It's a miracle. This is great. But we don't know. Mm-hmm. It's day by day. It's hour by hour. You have no idea how a person is going to respond to that.
Yeah.
Like in their physiology, not to mention mentally.
Right.
Inevitably, if you have a serious cardiac event, you're likely to have some really serious mental trauma that's going to last you for a couple of months, probably minimum, that you're going to be thinking to yourself like, Jesus fuck, I died or I got close to death.
For sure.
And that's going to be part of it. That's just how it goes. And she did great for someone who had to go through that. She really bounced back quickly. We left a little more than a week after it happened, and she was back on her feet, taking it easy, but doing stuff around the house, minimal stuff, and proud of you, Mama.
Such a resilient woman.
Yeah, insane.
So strong.
Well, and I would love to have her on this show at some point.
That would be awesome.
So that everybody can see what we're talking about. She is one of the strongest people I've ever met. Apologies that we did not start off on a super comedic note. I know this was not a hilarious beginning, but it's what we've been dealing with, and it's the truth. And that's kind of the thing about, doing shows like this on a regular basis is it's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows between every episode. Sometimes it's going to be a little crazy.
Yeah, but you got to take me to one of your favorite childhood spots.
Yes. She's
Schlitterbahn.
Schlitterbahn,
It
German
was so much fun.
for the slippery road. It is consistently rated one of America's and the world's best water parks. It's in New Braunfels, Texas, which is where my mom lives. So it's like right down the street.
Yeah.
It's the fucking best. If you've never been to Schlitterbahn, schlit it up. It's fucking amazing. It's worth the travel wherever you're coming from.
And I did not grow up going to water parks.
Right.
My family does not like water. We're not beach, ocean people. So it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect, but I knew you loved it and I love you and I trust you that you'll take me somewhere where I'll enjoy it.
And you have kind of a water phobia.
Yeah, I had a pretty traumatic drowning incident when I was in kindergarten, I think, maybe first grade. It's hard to remember. But yeah, it's something I never really dealt with in terms of like conquering that fear. I think I was able to get away with it because I didn't grow up in a family where we went to the lake or the ocean or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then when my friends had like pool parties and stuff, I was never available. So
Conveniently unavailable for the pool party.
I was just very busy growing up.
So busy. She had like 4 jobs. She had other kids that she took care of, and
anyway,
running a farm.
So it was such a blast. And
It was
the
a
Master Blaster.
It was a Master Blaster.
Holy shit. What a fun time.
An uphill water coaster. We got there when the park opened and still waited for an hour to ride it because it's that popular.
Yeah.
It's the number one ride at the park.
It was worth every second. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's an uphill water coaster. So you go down like a water slide and then the jets shoot your ass back up the hill.
Yeah, and then it gets dark at one point.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. I did.
It felt very much like Space Mountain.
Yeah.
Just like in water.
Yeah. It's the best. Should we start?
Should we start the show?
Yeah, thank you for saying it because I'm new at English.
Vibing and thriving. I'm excited now.
Fuck that. Suck that. Fuck that. Suck that. Fucking nuts. Genie, what's up, baby?
Genie.
How you doing? You look like you have something to say to me. Is that true? Hello? I get so impatient that she doesn't speak any English.
She really wants to.
I know.
So badly.
She's gotten so fat.
Hey, that's what happens when I leave her at, her grandparents' house for a week.
Yeah, it's all human food. We have a guest today. Very excited about that. We're going to get to that in just a few minutes. One of my best buddies from doing LA comedy. And he happened to be in town. You got that?
Yep.
Happened to be in town, I think for a wedding, he said. And spotted him on the gram in my town. So I had to hit him up and he came by real quick to record with us. We had a great time with him that we'll be sharing with you shortly.
Yes.
Before we get to that, can we talk about the rehearsal? Can we talk about my favorite TV show? Babe, we've seen 2 episodes since the last time we talked about this.
Yeah.
So now we're 3 episodes deep. It's not what I thought it was going to be. It's even more not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So, spoiler alert now for the rehearsal. You know that because of the show, if you saw the last episode, this is the Nathan Fielder show on HBO where he helps people rehearse real life events before they do them. And if you go, please go back and watch episode 17 if you haven't, to hear us talk about that for the first time. I'm not going to spoil everything because I don't want to ruin the show because the show is such a mystery as you watch it. But there is some stuff that I can't to talk about it at all as a spoiler. So spoiler alert, the rehearsal. If you don't want to hear it and you want to watch it, skip ahead to the interview. But they did something I didn't expect them to do. So we talked about in the first episode. There's a guy who goes to trivia who wants to tell his friend that he lied to her. So he's nervous to tell her because he's afraid she's going to end the friendship or some shit and be mad. So Nathan helps her rehearse that, or him rehearse the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought every episode was going to be that, like someone has bad news or weird news, and so he helps them rehearse that.
Right.
Then in the second one, they totally flipped the script in a way and added some extra shit that I didn't think was going to be a deal. And this looks like this is going to be maybe even like a season-long side arc.
Yes.
That's going on while he's doing these other rehearsals.
Right.
But even that we didn't know because he doesn't get back to doing regular rehearsals again until episode 3. The second episode is all him setting up. There's this woman who doesn't know if she wants to have a baby or not. He thinks, she thinks she wants to have a kid, but she doesn't know what it's like. So he rents her a house in the fucking country because she wants to live a sustainable life or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And hires kids. But kids can only work a few hours at a time. We know this because of our time in television.
Right.
There's a limited time. Kids can work like 4 hours. Then they have to be done for the day. So in order for her to get around the clock experience with a kid, he's got to hire like 30 kids or some shit.
Starting at a baby.
Right, of all ages, because he's going to walk her through
18.
All the way through 18. She's going to raise a whole kid in like a couple months or something. And so every few days, the kid magically like goes into his room and comes out years older.
It's so trippy to watch.
And it's a different kid all day because every 4 hours the kid like tags out with another kid who's like, I'm going to play the kid now.
Yeah, and then there are like little moments where the mom, the actual mom, there's like little snippets of them.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part because you think she's just some regular lady that he's like, oh, it's just some kind of boring woman who wants to have a baby. Okay, cool. She's not boring.
She's far from that.
Got a lot going on. She's a Christian. I don't know what else to say about that. Holy shit, she's got some views.
She's very holy.
And you wouldn't know. She's a whole nut job is what she is. She's fucking crazy, dude. He dresses up like for Halloween and she's like, well, I don't celebrate Halloween because of Satan. And you're like, oh my God.
The Satanists, of course, babe.
And they can't have kids at night because the kids can't work at night.
So they have robot.
They have a robot baby.
Robot kid.
And there's a guy who's hired in the control room to like watch a real baby through the night. Yeah. And when it cries, he makes the robot baby cry so that she has to go. Oh my God.
And I think it's fun to highlight, it's not a spoiler, but the baby kid's room is on the second level.
Right.
And so the crew members have to like
climb a ladder to go in through the window and swap the babies.
And they show us that footage and it's amazing.
And the mom is like taking the baby up the stairs, up the ladder, and then like putting him in the crib. And then she comes in hours later and picks up her baby. And then, oh my God. The third episode has such a crazy twist. I won't even get into that. But in the third episode, he's like, okay, so second episode ends and this woman and the babies is just starting. They don't like finish that in episode 2. They kind of set it up to be like act 1 of 5 or something. It sounds like the beginning of this longer story.
Right, because they do say that it's going to be from 0 to 18.
Right, and by the end of that episode, there's still babies.
Right.
They're not even on to toddlers
yet. They're only like 28
yet.
minute episodes.
Yeah. So you're like, what the fuck? Well, how many episodes are we going to be doing this baby thing? But in the third one, Nathan's got the baby lady and he also has to go back to doing other rehearsals for another. Yeah. So there's 2 stories. And the manipulation is the thing I'm impressed with on this show. It's the thing that's most exciting for me. And I know it's such a dirty word because you're like, oh, manipulation. These people sign up to be in rehearsal. And it very much reminds me of what we talked about in the last episode, which is like, we talked about it with schooling, and then it looped into the rehearsal combo, which is like sometimes teachers at my art school would bullshit you or take a stance they didn't really agree with just to get you riled up so that when you did the scene, you're riled up, even though it was, they tricked you because they don't really give a shit. They're just trying to upset you.
Yeah.
So they're manipulating your emotions in order to get you to fully experience something. And what Nathan realizes after his first rehearsal in episode 1 is that he didn't really do that. He didn't really get him on an emotional level. It was all psychological, like, what are you going to say? What is the conversation? How does that go? And he's like, oh, I never rehearsed him feeling the stuff he needs to feel.
Right.
So in the third episode, he figures out how to get them to feel the things they need to feel. And it's fucking insane. I almost was like, please let this not be fake.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like it could be fake a little bit. I really don't think it is. But the guy who's in rehearsal, the guy who's got the bad news to give, oh my God.
Yeah.
This poor dude is in such a terrible situation. And Nathan is really trying to help him get out of this tough place. And by the end of it, it is such a mind fuck.
Yeah, it is.
You're like, wait. How?
That's a great word for that moment, for sure.
It is. It is so a left turn. And you're like, no way they're going to do this. And so far, I was really nervous because like I told you, when it came to Nathan for you, by like the third episode, I'm like, I got it. And I'm kind of like.
But I think a cool part about the show too is that there are people that are learning on the spot that they're part of this project.
What do you mean?
Like the nanny in episode 3.
Yeah.
She just shows up like she's going to be a regular, taking a nanny job.
Yeah, they hire a nanny for the chick in the house that has the babies, but they hire a regular nanny. They don't get an actor in there like they have for everything else. And she shows up thinking there's going to be a regular baby, and they're like, it's actually multiple babies, and we're not actually the parents. And
she needs to hear that explanation. And when you're watching the show as a viewer, you just expect every person that shows up on the show, like being part of the show.
And they haven't really, because it looked like in the teaser for the next episode, they're going to do this, but they haven't really let you in to Nathan's process with the other people. We've been following him with the client, call him that. In the rehearsals. That's been the relationship, right? Nathan's like, here's the deal with the client, shows him and the client. We talked about him with the first guy walking down the street. He sets up all these fake interactions so that he learns the trivia answers.
Right.
But what it doesn't show you is him hiring those actors, being like, all right, here's the deal.
Like, this is what you're signing up for, yeah.
Right. And there's no way they advertised the details of it for the actors. So I'm thinking, I'm an actor in New York City. I'm hustling. I got to send in a video for Crest White Strips. I'm sending in a video for the musical. I'm hoping this Marvel thing works out, whatever. And then I get this weird acting job, or I see a listing on whatever, Craigslist. And I'm like, okay, it says HBO, hopefully. So that's good.
Yeah.
And then you get in and we're going to find out, I'm sure. But he's got to be like, so here's the deal. We're helping these people rehearse this thing, and you're going to pretend to be their brother. And you need to learn everything about their brother and then act out as if it's like therapy role play. And as a regular actor who just is an actor, you've got to be like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's
you're either
crazy.
Into it or you're not.
It's crazy you say that, babe, because I know someone who's going to be in the next episode.
Fucking crazy.
And
as an actor.
And I met her through a hand modeling gig.
Right.
So I am really interested just to see like what her role is.
Right.
But also like maybe, I can ask her.
I can't wait. And if it's possible, I'm sure she signed an NDA because the mystery of that show
Sure.
is so much about what the show's about. And if I was Nathan, I'd be like, everyone signs a fucking NDA. You cannot tell anyone how the show works. It'll fuck it up. But if she could come on this show and talk to us about this, I would be so fucking excited.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know
Me
everything.
too.
Even if we can't, we'll record it for 5 minutes and get her to talk about it. And then we'll turn off the cameras and she talk to us for like 2 hours. Because I want to know everything about what fucking happened. I want to know how she got the gig. I want to know what the audition what did she audition?
Sure.
I mean, I have no idea. Watch The Rehearsal on HBO with Nathan Fielder. It is the best show on TV right now. Holy shit.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is. It's such a good show.
And we're gonna keep talking about it on here as it unfolds because my enthusiasm just goes up every time. I have to stand and watch this show for most of it because my energy is so like, and I'm like rocking on my leg. I'm like, what the fuck? No. And I have to pause stuff and like do one of those circles.
And it was so funny because your mom was talking about it when we were with her.
Right.
And she was like talking to me and she's like, I already know he's cackling and then he'll have to like pause and then rewind because he missed the other thing. And I was like, that's exactly what happens.
It's
and
true.
I am along for the ride.
It's so good. All right, we'll take a little break. And when we get back from these words from our sponsors, we're going to have my buddy Ericson is joining us. Our friend who we've known now for several years. He's a comedian. He's a podcaster. He fosters kittens. He lives in Salt Lake City now.
Yeah.
He's a rock climber. He's got some nice little shoulders going on. You're not going to really see him in the interview because he's wearing a jacket, but check out his Instagram. Check out those shoulders, man. He's climbing those rocks. V6, whatever that means. He said that a lot. Where I come from, that's an engine, but to him, it's a vertical thing, I think is what the V is. I don't know.
I love it.
But he's got 6 V cards in his hand. So just Ericson, everybody, right after these messages. Oh, and one more thing. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to our sponsors that have been supporting the show. You guys are amazing. We did not expect to have any support for this show until we got our numbers way up. And then all these different companies started reaching out being like, we need to be a part of this. And they've been incredibly generous. So thank you so much to all of you. And here's one right now. This episode of We Are New is brought to you by Real Doves. Do you have a situation such as a music video or a wedding or maybe just a Saturday afternoon where you would like to release a series of doves, but you don't have the budget for Real Doves? Call up Real Doves. That's 1-800-REAL-DOVES. And my friend Jimmy has them. They're pigeons, and he spray paints them white. But no one's going to know, you know? It's basically, they're going to think they're legit. Real Doves.
That's not happening. So I heard April O'Neil's going to be here. Where's April O'Neil?
She's not here,
What?
dude. She's on her way.
That's the whole reason why I came here.
In a larger way.
I am so backed up from not masturbating for the last 3 days since I got here.
You were holding it up?
Well,
holding it in?
I can't masturbate at a guest house. I feel that's very inappropriate.
You're staying at a guest house?
I'm staying at a person's couch. My point is, that's not how to masturbate on someone's couch. Again.
Onto or just while you're on it?
Those
are different things.
I never masturbate onto a couch, but I have masturbated.
Try it out.
I have masturbated on someone's bed, like not onto, but like while I was on their bed, and then told them later via Facebook. And that was the end of our relationship.
Do you still talk to your mom?
That's not happening. Oh no. No, my mom would be so happy to hear that, I'm sure. She'd be strangely like, "Oh, I'm so glad you feel comfortable sharing that with me."
You kind of surprised me, man. I didn't know you were coming to putting your neck in our woods, so to speak.
Yeah, dude, it's funny that and I'm embarrassed by this, but like I just think that you live in Austin. So like when I came here,
you're not alone. A lot of people are still unclear.
I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of all these people. What's funny is all the people I thought to say hello to, I'm like, oh right, they don't live in LA anymore. They live in Austin.
Who else?
Destiny Lane, who's a comic.
Sure, yeah. I know Destiny.
Whenever I go to LA, I think of her. But when I go to Austin, I think of you now.
Right.
So I would have been really embarrassing if you hadn't reached out and said something, because I would have probably gone this whole time thinking
you would have figured it out.
I would have gone to Austin eventually. Be like, yo, dude, we should hang out. And you're like, I live in LA, and I'd be like,
yeah.
Oh shit, I'm a dick. But I appreciated that you were so comfortable to call me out and be like, yo, dude, like.
Oh, I'm totally comfortable with that. I do that all the time. It doesn't always work out this way.
Well, last time
Sometimes I shame people for.
Exactly. It was refreshing because last time I was in LA, last year, November, everyone who reached out to me was like shaming me. Everybody was mad at me.
About being here?
About either being here or not, like, you know, like just like doing something wrong. Like not being considerate enough to like to get to their place at a certain time.
You know a lot of cool folks here then.
Not
apparently.
anymore.
Jesus Christ.
I dropped them.
Okay. Well, then let's back up a little bit because I want to talk to you about this. We've talked.
Are we doing the show right now?
Yeah, we're in it. We're in it
show?
whenever. We'll see, you know, once it gets interesting, that's when we'll start.
Okay, cool.
But
We'll
no
just fade
pressure.
in. Yeah.
No, we've talked because I've done your show a bunch of times.
I loved it.
Like 3 or 4 times, I think.
know.
And I always have a great time chatting with you about that. And I feel like she still inevitably will get off the podcast. And we've almost always done it remotely, I think, but like half the times.
Holy shit! Yeah, I think we only did that one time. In
Yeah,
person,
in your old place, in
where you had
North
a
Hollywood.
really nice deep confessional, and I was like, "This is what I made the podcast for."
Oh yeah, when I told you after the
Why you
Fourth
quit
Wall
comedy?
show.
Why you quit comedy?
Yeah,
pretty much.
exactly.
And, well, why you quit comedy in LA? I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely took a huge hiatus from it because of that. I'll have to clip that in. That's a fun convo.
Dude, please clip as many good parts of my podcast into this podcast to make people think it's worth listening to.
Just Ericson's podcast, everybody. Go have a listen. You're putting out new episodes. You took a break?
I took a break, and now I'm putting up all the back episodes, and I'll go back to doing new episodes. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with it. Podcasting is so oversaturated. I love what you guys are doing. Like, I think it makes sense. See, what you guys are doing, is what I think people should do. You clearly love each other.
Yeah.
You would be doing this even if you weren't recording it. It's a good time to ask her now after the wedding. You're cool with what we just did, right? Like, you're fine with the fact that we decided to be together forever, right?
Yeah, double check.
No, you guys, like, I feel like you guys would be doing this anyway.
Right.
So it's just an extension of yourself.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of, like, I'm still trying to figure out how to make the podcasting something that, like, if I wasn't, like, if I wasn't publicizing, I'd be doing it anyway. And I think the Zoom stuff is just kind of like, I miss doing it in person.
But why don't you put it out in video format? Like, you literally film both sides.
I think watching Zoom is so cringy, dude. Watching people, this is nice because we're actually in the same room together. I can react to you in real time.
Yeah.
There's a vibe here. But just two people who are clearly just looking at themselves, pretending to look at each other.
Right.
It just makes me sick to my stomach.
I wish I wasn't guilty of that. I fully am.
I'm saying because I know what I do.
Yeah.
Anytime, if you think I'm looking at you when we're Zooming, you are so wrong.
I work on a TV show where I produce and direct the show over Zoom.
Yeah.
And I have to turn off my own view because it's my job to watch the fucking people on the show.
See, but if I did that, I'd be like, why am I even here now?
Yeah.
Like, where's the fun for me if I don't get to look at myself?
Yeah. That's tracks.
That's so crazy you guys say that because I'm on online school. My grad school's online. And so we have Zoom sessions for class.
Yeah.
And I look at all of my classmates. Like,
You're not staring at yourself?
No.
You're so much better looking than both of us. Why wouldn't you? If
Maybe
I had you as me, I would be.
We haven't really come into our own. We're not comfortable enough.
Yeah, it could be that. Maybe
do you ever watch your Zooms over and be like, holy shit, I did not know I made that face when I was like listening to people? Because that's all it took for me was to see myself actually talking to someone on TV to be like, well, now I need to watch myself every chance I can.
You caught yourself looking bad and now you can't look away.
Yeah.
Got it.
It wasn't hard either. It's just like, I already told myself on the way over here, it's like, just don't watch the video, dude. Just don't even try. It's going to be terrible.
Don't trip, dude.
I didn't shave for this. I just got back from climbing. I'm wearing an old jacket I had lying in my car.
We never know what people are going to smell like when they get in here, which is why we have the distance of the built into the set.
I felt terrible. I was going to stop and get some deodorant on my way over here, but like in LA, once I'm in my car, I'm like, I just want to get to that fucking destination, dude. I cannot risk stopping somewhere and having to like add another 20 minutes to my goddamn trip.
Sure. I was going to say earlier, after the podcast that we usually do, we inevitably will get off and she'll be like, how's he doing?
I was hoping to get off with April here, but
we'll
apparently...
See. Wait, God, calm down, man. You're going to ruin the surprise. You're going to talk it up too much, and then the groundwork I've laid for the tension will be broken before we even get there.
Yeah.
We get off of the podcast normally, and she's like, how's he doing? I'm like, he's doing great. because it usually seems how you're doing. And then she asks a follow-up question, and I never have an answer. There's always a second thing. She's like, oh, well, what is he doing in Salt Lake City? And I'm like, we barely talked about that.
Oh, I would have had the same answer. I don't know either.
What are you doing in Salt Lake City?
I'm honestly just accepting my role as an entitled millennial slacker. That's just who I am. All this talk about white privilege and like straight males like just having it too easy. You know what? You're right. We have it way easier than most people have ever had their entire lives, and I'm not ashamed of it anymore. I'm just like, you know what? Look, I tried to be a hard worker. I tried to like really accomplish something through merit, but it didn't work.
So you're gonna play the other cards you were dealt.
I'm just gonna accept the fact that things work out okay for me without even trying. In fact, the harder I try, they still work out, but then I'm angry because I'm like, this isn't. I could have just done nothing the whole time, and I would have had the same result.
Oh my god!
Now I just feel stupid.
It's like when you study for a test and you still get a C, and you're like, this would have been. I would have gotten the C. You tell yourself that when you're done, I would have done the same.
I would almost argue it's more like when you practice a sport for a tournament.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh, right, I was playing against kindergartners the whole time. Why did I try?
I need to practice.
Why did I act like I needed? Yeah, why did I act like I needed to prepare? This was in the bag from the get-go.
Right.
Now I'm embarrassed because I'm the guy who thought that kindergartners were going to be a challenge.
Right. I took it seriously, and now I'm the fool.
Right, because it's like I was going to end up a loser anyway because I'm a grown man playing with kindergartners. So I've got the trophy. I got the free trip to like Nickelodeon Studios or whatever they're giving out.
Or in this case, Utah.
Yeah, Utah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I just spent all my time climbing, playing anime card games.
I saw that you're fostering kittens.
Fostering kittens, yeah. There's the wholesome thing I always forget to add that I'm doing.
You could lead with that. Is my recommendation.
You know what's funny is I thought that would get me so much more pussy, like
having
of a different kind.
Right.
Women don't give a fuck.
They don't want to pet the cat.
Every time I say I foster kittens, and I slide into every conversation with any woman I'm talking to. I'm always like, oh yeah, man, I got these kittens at home I gotta get to. Oh my God, I'm fostering them. I'm basically housing an entire family.
Essentially a hero.
And I'm always expecting them to be like,
form.
holy shit. They're always just like, whatever, dude. It's okay. What's something wrong with you? Clearly, I'm sure you're gonna eat them or something. Like they just never seem oppressed. They can almost tell. They can smell on me. They're like, yeah, nice try, buddy, but I know you're probably a monster.
Something smells ulterior.
They just no one falls for it. No one.
Do you like dogs?
No, I don't like dogs, but I will say I've always felt dog people judging me for being a cat person.
Really?
And I never thought it was kosher. I was always like, there's no reason to treat us like we're a bunch of psychopaths just because we like, animals that don't need attention 24/7.
Sure.
But I will tell you,
passive aggression there in that tone.
Well, let me tell you though, after taking care of a mama and her cats and watching them and studying about them,
yeah.
Dog people have an absolute every right to think we're psychopaths. You know what? I'll never forget when I picked up the mom. You know what? I used to take care of kittens on their own without the mom, which I totally recommend doing if you've got the time because the kittens, not having anyone else to love, they end up loving you. With the mom, you're just some stepdad that won't leave them alone. And I'm just there being like, you don't understand how much work I do to keep your mom and you guys alive.
Yes.
And they're like, fuck you, dude. Mom's the one who feeds us. She's the one we're related to.
Yeah. She's here all day. Where are you?
When you're with them alone, the thing that struggles about them is you got to feed them like every 2 hours. You also have to stimulate them. To pee and poop, because you got to get them off so they understand what puberty is. No, you have to stimulate them.
Same neighborhood.
I know it is the same. It is the same. I know anyone watching me out of context is like, he's fucking raping those kittens. He just masturbates them like every 2 hours.
Can we clip it? Let's clip that. We'll clip that.
If that's what I get canceled for, dude, I'll gladly.
That's why you got to publish, man. I'm telling you, publish the video. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, it's embarrassing my face and how happy I look when I'm talking.
Exactly.
I'm rubbing that cat's nether regions, man.
You just hear it. You don't see
and my
the
fingers
grin
get all
creep
wet
up.
and shit, and the rag's all dirty.
Oh my gosh.
You happy he's here?
But what I was gonna but let me finish. But my point is that what I learned though is what I was pick up the cat. So finally I decided I want a cat and a mom because the mom takes care of them. She does the work for you. So I'm picking up the mom and the cat and the kittens, and I go, hey, by the way, what do I do with the poop and the pee? They're like, oh, don't worry, she stimulates them for you. I'm like, oh, I know, but like afterwards, where do I throw it out? And she goes, oh, don't worry, she eats it.
Don't worry.
Ew.
So
that doesn't go with the next thing they said.
What?
They said, don't worry.
Don't worry, she eats it. Yeah, don't worry, she eats it. So now, so every so often I'll come in here and here she's just tossing her own kid's salad, just like fucking eating their ass.
Wow, dude.
I'm just like, And I'm like, okay, you're right. You know what? Point dog people.
You
You're
do
absolutely
look
right.
happy.
You're absolutely right. Cat people are definitely freaks.
Wow.
One of the cats died on me. One of the kittens died on me.
What?
Or was about to die on me and was in the process of
And
dying.
you went ahead and killed it?
So I looked into like, do mama cats, because the mom was being so like dismissive of it. She was almost like trying to kill it. So I looked into mom cats and what happens when their kittens die. A lot of times they eat the kitten.
Yeah, that's true.
And of course, this person explains like, don't worry, she's only doing it out of love because it would break her heart to have a predator eat her own kid. I'm like, that doesn't make it any better.
Yo, what?
That is deeply troubling.
Right, so
to hear that part of it, I always knew that could happen, but I thought it was some like an animal impulse thing of like they couldn't help it or something. But I'd never
the
thought
mom's
of it
just
that
like,
way.
no one else is going to eat my child but me.
Wow. They're so prehistoric.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Dogs feel very like we recently made dogs like out of wolves. Like they feel more like we just made them like in the 80s or something.
They're more bred. They feel like they feel like they've gone to like an online college.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They feel like they've had a little bit of it. Like
they've
not
got
a
at
high
least
education,
an associate's vibe
right?
via Skype.
Associates vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That makes sense.
Gosh, that's
Yeah, I always
crazy.
have thought that because people are like, it's funny because I grew up in the theater and the theater people are inevitably more likely to be cat people. It's hand in hand.
And
It's
I
like,
bet they're more likely to eat each other's shit too.
that's true.
Probably eating more each other's ass
and there's
all the
some, Yeah,
time.
there's some more ass licking going on.
There's a
over
lot
there.
of peeing on each other's
There's a lot
face
of
in theaters.
parallels.
In the theater.
That's true. So in academia and in the theater, there's some more prehistoric kind of feline vibe over there. And I was definitely always a dog person, and I grew up having dogs. I only had one cat, never got along with it. But I'm cool with cats when I'm not allergic to them. I'm not a cat hating person, but I do remember having the argument with other people who like loved cats. And there's almost that you mentioned shame. It was the same way. They're like shaming me because like you need a thing that's that needy. And I was like, I thought that was the point of the pet, was to have a little support.
That's how I feel about dog people. Dog people love something that just loves you, like just needs your attention.
Right.
They love it how like fucking like animated and excited they are.
Right.
I love that the cat's just like a chill roommate.
Yeah, but if you don't need a roommate, why would you have a fucking roommate? Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't need a chill roommate.
Because what's nice about a cat is that like when you are having a bad day, it will cuddle up against you, being like, "Okay, dude, I see you need a little bit of support."
Depends
but otherwise,
on the cat. I've heard some stories.
Yeah, I know,
some of them
cats-
really like their space, like literally all the fucking time.
Well, I don't know why you're keeping that cat though. Those people, I never see people who keep an annoying.
Because they don't want
pet.
to eat it.
They don't want to eat the cat.
Right.
You don't have to kill. I don't think that's okay.
I thought that was the whole cat logic. It was either
I'm pretty
eat it
sure
or
the
someone else is
foster
going
community
to.
center thinks I'm eating the cats.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they think I get so
Send them
worried when they think
photos.
about me.
How many
Timestamp
kittens
it.
have you fostered?
Over the course of this period now, technically about 7, but really only about like 5 or 6.
I didn't know it'd been that many.
Wow.
Well, I would get rid of them very quickly because I couldn't resist wanting to eat them.
Right.
But no, it was also I just travel a lot. The problem is with me is I'm actually like, and it's why I think I drive the foster center nuts. Is I'm just always like, I'll take that cat, and like 3 weeks later, I'm like, I can't hold on to this cat.
You're constantly giving it back
yeah,
and like
I was like,
we haven't found a family
and I'm
yet.
always-
That's too bad because it's not staying with me.
Right. No, they'll be like, well, we need you to wait a week before you can drop it off. I'm like, oh, I'm here right now, and I'm leaving it here. I'll leave it outside. It says it's up to you guys.
And
Right.
you go to the same place every
I
time?
go to the same place all the time. They always look at me like,
Big
you
eye
really should make an
roll.
appointment. I'm like, I know, and someday maybe I'll figure out how to. But till then, I'm going off to Los Angeles. I'll see you guys later.
The cats are needing
Wow.
homes that badly. They're ending up with you.
They're adorable though. I love doing it. I just thought like this is a surefire way to get women
Sure.
to want to fuck me, and they don't give
7
a
cats
shit.
deep and you got no ass.
They don't give a shit, dude.
It's a shame.
I thought they'd be like, oh my God, I want to come over and see the kitties. Or just
Right.
like, yeah, whatever, dude.
I just wonder if it would be different if you said they were puppies.
I wonder. I'm going to start lying and saying
That's
they're
an
puppies. And when they
experiment.
come
You
over, I'll
should
be like,
check
aren't
it
these
out.
puppies?
Yeah, pretend like you don't know. That's what I was gonna say. That's how
I'm
you
sorry.
play
Look,
it.
I didn't ask them what they identified as. I just assumed, and that was on me. That is on me.
Yeah,
But
I'm not a fucking
yeah.
zoologist.
Right. I'm not a
guy.
zoologist. I don't know what an animal is.
But since you're
That's
here,
funny.
But since you're here,
yeah,
you wanna get in this
What's
bed
up?
with me? Yeah, you wanna chill?
But I
you
do
like anime cards?
remember. I do remember the last time we saw you was at our wedding, of course.
Yeah.
But the time before that, it was in Austin.
Right.
When you were at the Roma room.
Yeah.
And we were in the green room.
right.
And you guys were
That was fun.
you were doing your interview just
My
on
my
mics.
podcast.
Yeah.
I would
Your
call it an
podcast,
interview,
yeah.
Maybe 5 times then, I'm thinking.
We've had a lot of you're one of my better guests though. That's why I keep bringing you back. I really
Thanks,
like
man.
talking to you. You get it.
I do. I do. I try to get it.
Gets
Yeah.
it.
Are you want to talk about the thing?
What thing? Oh, what'd I do?
Yeah.
So before we get into it, I want to offer the opportunity to, you're in the corner. Before we get into it, I want to offer the opportunity to remain anonymous. And then if you don't care, I'm okay to say names.
We're going to tell you a story that you did. And if you want to pretend it's not you, by all means, go ahead.
No, you're in the
and
story.
We'll play along.
You're
like,
named in the
we were
story.
talking about, that was somebody else.
There's
that was
another character.
You're right.
No, it's
There's
you
The
another-
person
and a
who shit on the couch was somebody else.
There's
That
another
wasn't you.
character.
But how would you feel about that person?
That's not you.
Okay.
That if we want to have them remain anonymous, it's
I
up to you.
appreciate that. I appreciate that you're giving me that responsibility.
Yeah,
But,
it's up to you because I
let's
don't
get-
care.
So you're going to tell me a story and I can say we can reveal the person?
We want to share some extra layers because I actually wasn't present for this moment and she told me about it later.
Okay.
And I was like, I was kind of enthralled by it because I had no idea this was going on. So you want to tell them what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fun. This is some podcast shit. This is some like
This is not supposed to be a puzzle. I promise.
I mean, it's not a puzzle. This is gossipy. This is the
Yeah,
kind of
it's a little
drama
gossipy.
shit. Like people think we've got a real life right now.
Right? Yeah, we got them fooled.
There's somebody I could have ruined their career right now, possibly, or my own with them.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Speaking of that, that's so funny.
Oh my God. Okay, let's
All right,
go.
let's
Because there's
go.
some people whose careers I want to ruin in Austin. Some people who I will, I feel like I owe them one.
Tastes like tea.
Well, I literally have some right here.
Spilling the tea.
Oh,
Go ahead.
This is so. And by the way, thank you for holding on to this for the most opportune moment.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because I was thinking, because I knew we're going to have you as a guest, and I was like,
Someday.
I haven't had too many encounters with you. Like, I have.
Yeah.
Just, they were kind of like brief ones at, what was it called? The Fourth Wall.
Yeah.
I forgot. But then in Austin was the first time we really had a conversation, just
Yeah.
the two of us, because Rob had a meeting he had to go to.
Right.
And this was very fresh in your mind because this happened to you like that same day.
Okay.
But you said you were in town visiting and like you were staying at someone's place.
I had a feeling it was this person.
Yeah. And you were just really heated because it was the moment of like you figuring out if you're staying longer or not.
Yeah.
And you found out you
Um,
weren't.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this a friend of yours now?
no.
No.
Oh, goodness.
It's not a thing. It's
Well,
totally.
this is obviously a thing.
No. I mean, it's totally
We're bringing it up
outside.
'cause it's a
no.
thing.
It's totally an outside judgment thing. I don't know her at all.
Okay, well, now we know it's a she.
Sure.
Okay. But that's fine, because let's be honest, guys. I don't stay with dudes. I'm not gay.
Right.
No, I'm actually staying with a buddy right now. But, like, if I'm coming into town, I'm staying with some fresh pussy that wants
Wait.
nothing to do with me and my fostering ass.
So I go have this meeting and then I come back in and you guys are kind of wrapping up this conversation when I walk back in. And then it kind of moved on to the show. We were doing a show.
Yeah.
That's part of why you were there. We moved on to comedy show for the night. We're at the club. And then we go home. We say goodbye to you. And then we get in the truck and she's like, so you left for your meeting and man, Ericson had a day. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, he's in town and he's staying with his friend, but now he's not. And he got like kicked to the curb or something like that. He's like,
Yeah. Well, they just cut it short out of nowhere and acted like it was like the plan all along. Like, you know what I mean? Just
Right.
this was also after they told me they really appreciate people being very straightforward.
Yeah.
Which is always like that's even more frustrating. It's like, oh yeah, you really like to, nipping things in the bud and just taking
Right.
care of but instead of telling me like you're just fed up of having me around, you're gonna use this fucking backwards. Like I thought you were leaving days early. Or like literally you asked me to come here and I said, okay, well if I have a place to stay between this date and this date, and right now it's 4 weeks before that date, so we got plenty of time to plan for it.
they
I will
kicked you
come.
out 4 weeks early.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying we planned weeks ahead. So it's
Oh.
not like it was a sprung on them that I came. I was like, I'm staying here for a lot longer. It was just like,
Right.
it was weird too. And I'm excited to hear what you have to say. I feel like the meeting was with this person. Is that what was the?
No. I was having a totally separate meeting. I have a completely different gripe about this person.
You
that
have a
is-
gripe about them.
Yeah.
Then this is probably more illuminating for me then.
Oh, I think it will be. I just thought it would be interesting to start with that point because that was the last time they came up when we were all in the same place.
Well, okay, so I'm assuming that their name came up and you're like, holy shit, I know who that is.
Oh
We've
yeah,
heard-
he
we've
told me
heard of
who
this
it was,
person.
and she told me who it was, and I was like, oh yeah, I definitely know who that is.
Oh yeah, well she's definitely working her way in that scene as much as she can.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's my
Yeah, okay,
gripe,
let
which
me hear
is
your
not
gripe.
related to
And
the fact that they do comedy at all.
No.
I don't think I've. I don't
Actually,
know.
I'll say this right now unequivocally. Offstage, very funny person. When you know them personally, when you've heard the stories I've heard, and you just see them for who they are, hilarious person.
I love that.
If she would take what she does in front of me and put it on stage, she'd have a lot more enemies.
Okay.
But she would also probably have an insane career because she's so fucking funny.
So she's a
Oh my
comedian.
God.
but-
I'll never like, there's a lot of comedians I don't get along with and who I
Right.
think are terrible people.
Sure.
I'm not saying she's one of them, but I will still say when I talk about them, people are like, that girl, that person, that guy, that's people suck. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they are funny.
Objectively.
She's one of them. Yeah. Well, just like, I think they're a good comedian.
Yeah.
And when we talk, oh my God, the story, I'm just like, the way she tells stories, the animation she brings to it, the character and the honesty, because she'll be really, here's the thing. I feel like she's very honest with me. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're fucking hilarious. Like, I just lost my shit every time. That's why I was surprised you want to get rid of me. I'm like, I'm your favorite audience member.
That's
like,
the inverse reaction and relationship that I had with Amir Khalil.
Oh, really?
Offstage, terrible. Fuck that guy. So
Really?
mean to me.
Really?
For no reason.
Because you're white.
But it might be. He may have his reasons.
Yeah.
And some of the times he's mean to me, that's funny too. But man, on stage, I'm a fucking giggle box when that dude's on stage. He's so fucking funny. And he could just make a facial expression or a noise, and it just tickles me to death. And I always had that reaction where I'm like, I am a pretty generous contribution to your art. You could at least just ignore me.
Right.
That would be a little bit more in the road. So here, my gripe about the
This
other person
person
we're
is-
talking about
yes.
is not about their comedy. It's not about anything else. It's about their fucking OnlyFans.
Oh, you feel like you got ripped off?
I feel like everybody does.
Oh, really?
Oh, dude. So
This is definitely going in a very different direction than I expected it to.
I'm telling you, man, and we agree because she's gonna back me up on this. We looked at it. We looked at the OF. We checked it out, and we looked at the price, and then we looked at what you were getting, and we're like, "Who do you think you are?" Holy shit. It would be like $25-$30 a month to then have to pay extra to see like some titties. That's it.
I'll tell you, she was in the top 0.2% of earners on that site. So I think that's who she thinks she was.
Yeah,
Like,
because of the
she's-
price model that she has. I'm not saying her business model isn't good.
Dude.
She's making the money. There's a lot of companies out there
Coin
being
sold for like what, $13 at one point? Like,
I'm telling
the
you.
market speaks for what they're willing to pay for shit.
I know, but that doesn't make it okay.
Yes, it does.
No, it
actually.
doesn't.
So you're not a free
No.
market believer. Once
It
again,
depends.
So,
It totally
You
depends.
can take Rob out of the liberal party, but you can't take the liberalism out of Rob.
I am not fully libertarian when it comes to titties. When it comes to titties,
You think they should
I
be
have a-
federally mandated?
I think
you think we
no.
should have like a set price?
There should be a goddamn maximum until we get some.
No,
like,
Mr. President, you can bring these
actual
gas
interaction.
prices down by the government. I appreciate it, but also OnlyFans need to be regulated too. You really got to bring the price down for pussy
Can
pics.
somebody step in at some point and say that we need to see
This is not
somebody
at all where I
actually
thought this
have
was
sex
going.
with someone before we pay this much money?
You
Well,
find
they
out-
tried. They
You find
tried.
out that I got kicked out by one of my friends when they promised I could stay longer than usual. And you go like, that makes so much sense because their OnlyFans is a ripoff.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because I sense the cruelty across all platforms.
She's actually, that's why I'm not naming her. She's actually a really dope person. Like if you had told me something sinister she'd done behind my back, I would be like wondering, but like she's been a pretty good friend overall.
Yeah.
And she has supported me and like she's one of the people who brought me on her podcast when nobody else did.
I listened to her episode of your podcast. Was my first time ever hearing
That's a
about
funny
her. Or that's true.
Yes,
You
yes.
exposed me to this girl.
Yes.
Then she exposed me to this girl, and I was like, bullshit. But before that, I was like, no, she does seem really cool. And I do still think she seems really cool. I actually, all seriousness, she seems like a cool person overall. But I follow actual like porn stars. I follow amateur people. And when OF was popping a couple years ago, I got into checking it out, seeing what the price set models are doing. And the idea that I'm going to pay $25 a month and then spend an extra like $40 to see 3 titty pics.
I would
bro,
not consider myself.
Come
I would
on.
not consider myself a connoisseur. Okay.
I would.
But
you go ahead.
But I'm an armchair financial analyst. Like I'm getting really more into markets and like following trends and understanding supply and demand. And from my perspective, with like how much we're moving towards a gig economy in the sexual space. Like we're becoming more and more comfortable with sex work and the idea of women. I mean, we're definitely reaching a zenith where we're going to have to decide if we're totally going to just always support this or put the kibosh on it, because it's becoming pretty much everywhere.
It's women are the first one. There's
women
no way
are
the second
becoming
one
very
happens.
aware of their value in the sexual market and how they can turn that into actual, like, you know, financial means.
Which is great. Men
and
too,
I think
but
what
women
that
more
means,
so.
but more so women. But I also think what that's going to lead to is also a oversaturation eventually, where, you know, women are going to have to realize that, guess what? Your tits aren't worth what they used to be.
Well,
like,
sure.
Like a naked picture of a 17-year-old girl is not going to sell. And yeah, go on Instagram. These are definitely not, they might be saying they're 19, 20. Please. OnlyFans, if this does get regulated, holy shit, people are, one guy's going to jail. The guy who they end up pinning it on is going to jail. Oh yeah, Frank, he's the one who sets the age limits. Yeah, he's the one who's supposed to be checking that shit. But you know what I'm saying? Like, like eventually women are gonna have to realize that, like, yeah, being young and beautiful is only worth so much now because there's so much out there. And I kind of respect her for maybe, I don't know if she realizes that or if it might just be personal preference, but I think any woman who's trying to say, like, I want to make the most I can right now off of pictures on my ass while I still can and not just give it. Because I know women who do the opposite too, who just like throw everything out there. And it's like, all these guys are giving me $1 a piece. I've got like 1,000 guys giving me $1. I make $1,000 a week. That's so much money. It's like, well, that's really underselling yourself. So
I'm not saying that's the answer. Believe me. I'm not saying it should be like, let's pretend like it's nothing. I just like, dude,
you're talking as a consumer, but I look at it more from a business perspective.
Objective, like,
well,
kind
no,
of
from a
market
business perspective.
value.
Like, well, no, but also from a business. Like, she's trying to sell a product, and if she's happy with the money she's making, then she's setting it the right price. This is what I tell everyone with everything they do. It's like, if you are accepting money in return for your services, then you have set that price.
Yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
what I had a friend in LA. She recently got fired from the job. I told her it was going to happen. She was working at a yoga studio, and if I could fucking blast them right now, I would. But I don't know what the fuck the name is. They're all silly names. But either way, if you ever hear about this yoga studio and the fact that they did this during COVID, they told when they finally reopened up, they told all their yoga instructors that they're going to be giving them a temporary 70% reduction on their income. Basically, they're going to pay them 70% less what they paid them, just temporarily, while we all get ourselves back on our feet. And I was like, you should never accept that. Like, you should have quit immediately. Yeah. And I was like, the only reason why they're doing this is because people like you will accept it. And now you're telling them what you're actually worth by doing that. And sure enough, she worked for like months on end until they finally just fired her when they decided that we can just hire other people who will work for this rate.
Well, and it also is the company telling the employee,
this is a
like,
very funny podcast turning into fucking like Wall Street Minute right
we need to recover.
What's that bald guy with the signs?
Jim
Mad
Cramer.
Money. I'm turning to Jim Cramer over here. I'm telling these women, you're worth more than you realize.
If you had done it with that energy, it would have been more entertaining.
Yeah. Wasn't that the dude we saw in John?
By the way, actually, as a quick side note, how good would James Cramer be if he just talked about the value of OnlyFans girls? Like, instead of stocks, he's like, I think Jennifer's going up in price. Buy her titty pics now. Do it.
I would 100% follow, and then I might even start taking his advice for the first time in my life. I might be like, now you look like a guy who knows what he's talking about.
But I love that I'm talking a lot, but I actually want to know your opinions on this. Like, so what's your opinion on the whole sexual market? Because I find this actually fascinating. As a guy who's trying to get laid by talking about fostering kittens, that's where I'm at right now in the sexual marketplace. Yeah. I can't even get laid by being a good person. How do you guys, I mean, first of all, congratulations, you're married, don't have to worry about it that much, but you do look at OnlyFans. Yeah. What is your opinion about where we're going? Honestly, I could talk about this for hours, like as a society, but also where as a marketplace we're going with like the way that we're basically commoditizing sexuality. Like it's unavoidable. Yeah. Sex sells, but now it's like it even sells, like your neighbor sells it.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't, it's the same thing with everything else, right? You used to have to get on Johnny Carson to be a famous comedian. There was a time when that was true. Then all of a sudden it was like, well, you might be able to get your break on Leno or Letterman or Conan or, there was a few more options. And then a few years later, it was like, you could go on late night all you want. it's not going to do shit for you because
Totally.
if you don't have a fucking rockin' social media or if you're not following the new rules, but it does crack it open to say that anybody can kind of democratize and get in if you learn how the system works. And now it's just working the same way with porn. But it's the same thing.
Right. And you said exactly what I was about to lead us to.
Yeah.
But it's porn. And there's
Right.
a difference about porn is a commodity that basically like sells an exaggerated fantasy of sex, which is procreation, which we all, for the longest time we conflated with love.
Okay.
But now we seem to be moving away from, like, sex is no longer love. People are getting more polyamorous. People are joining fucking FetLife for like their kinks and like having like, open relationships. And I'm not against that, but I do feel like we're falling away from the idea of like sex being a romantic thing that like, you work towards with another individual.
I don't
and
think
it's more
it's mutually
becoming a product.
exclusive. It can still be both things.
I guess that's my question.
What
I
do you
feel
think?
like I like it as mutually exclusive personally.
What do you think?
I think he's onto something. I mean,
Me?
yeah, like
I love hearing it. I usually am onto something, but I totally fall off the tracks.
No,
and then
I
land into
definitely
something else.
agree with you. I mean, I think COVID had a lot to do with it.
It definitely ramped it
Just
up, yes.
The pandemic, people being home, not being able to work, like
Being afraid to be near each other
That too.
physically.
yeah, that too.
Women realizing now that I have this avenue where I can still make money and
Mhm.
just take pictures of myself in the mirror.
Yeah. Start charging for what I was doing on Instagram, except do this.
Yeah.
It's like Instagram, OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And for some people, $40 a fucking photo.
And that seems like a small thing, but that's a huge leap in society
be
when that
big, but yeah.
becomes I'm just saying, like, we can't even hide it from each other. Like,
Yeah.
if 14-year-olds know this, think about
Yeah.
like it used to be when
I see what you're saying.
When I was 10, right? My idea, I mean, it's one of my favorite things that I ever said on a podcast. Like, my idea of sex or was like you only did to make a baby, and the way you did was like you stuck your penis in a girl and you kissed her on the forehead until she had a baby. Like that was it. That was sex.
Okay.
Because like, but in my
That
mind,
is so fucking cute, man.
thank you. It's very adorable. I'm very charming.
It was, yeah. And don't you foster kittens?
I do foster kittens. I also play anime card games. If you're into that, ladies.
Just Ericson, everybody.
I rock on my V6 level now. I got pretty nice arms. People tell me.
It's true. The shoulders are really
The shoulders are starting to come
It's
in.
the action figure shoulder that I like.
Yeah.
No, but it's so true. Like because I'm seeing clients, like I'm going the therapy route, and so
Mhm.
I'm seeing like tween teenagers right now,
Right.
and like when the whole Roe versus Wade thing, like the 11-year-old, she just turned 12. She mentioned it. She's like, I'm really upset about it. And I was like, I was like shocked. But then I
Are
was
you
also
pregnant?
warned. I was warned by my team that like people, girls these like this age are aware of shit and like really care about it.
Right.
And for us in California, like
It's not a problem.
it's
Yeah,
not
we're
a
not really
problem.
tripping,
But just the idea made her really upset. And then it was like close to 4th of July. And she's like, I don't want to celebrate it. And I was like, this is crazy. Like,
Right.
that is a thing that is new that I don't remember ever happening. And tell me if I'm wrong. There's always been things like you think like Bush era. There was a lot of like, this government's tricking us, is full of shit. A lot of both patriotic and anti-patriotic shit. But I never remember anyone at that time during the Bush era being like, 4th of July is canceled. This country, I'm not celebrating this country now. I heard that this year, I think, for the first time.
No. This is the first time this year where I was like, how was your 4th of July? And they're like, oh, I don't celebrate that. It was just like, what the fuck? Like, well, if you didn't go to work, you definitely do.
Dude, bananas. That is so stupid.
Well, just like, I mean, it's certainly, and it's a
Who is
question.
that protest for?
It's just this idea of being a part of a bigger movement of people who are just like, I don't agree with this country that I live in and thrive in. Like,
guess.
I will argue it's juvenile. Like,
I would agree.
Yeah,
it's a package deal, everybody. That's how it goes. I'm not saying don't fight your fight,
well,
but what is not having a hot dog gonna fucking do
let's
for
say
your
you're an
cause?
American, right? And you're on vacation, and you're in France, right? And all of a
Okay.
sudden everyone's celebrating the streets and having a fun time. And you say, well, what is this? It's like, oh, this is our French Independence Day. It's like, are you not going to celebrate with them because you're not French? Or are you going to celebrate with them because this is a day that celebrates the country's existence?
That's totally different. These are people who have born in America and may have never even left in their whole lives, and it's given them every opportunity they have to be on a phone talking shit.
If you want to get all Jordan Peterson about it, yes, I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with you.
My nephew might finally watch this podcast.
Oh,
But
really?
it's also-
Clean your room, kid.
it's also
Stop
like
watching this podcast and clean your room.
Also with election, when things don't, work out the way that person wants to, and they're like blasting, like, I'm gonna leave the country, and it's all talk.
I remember hearing that back when I was in graduating high school. We said everyone was like, if Bush gets elected a second time, I'm moving to Canada.
Right.
And I'm just like, we'll talk about a bad choice looking in hindsight. Like that is even worse than what we're dealing with here.
Yeah,
so,
it depends how you look at it.
I mean, if what you were saying is you want to get away from a dictator, yes, I would argue that going to Canada is probably the wrong move.
It's yeah, I don't know. I feel so stupid when I talk about it because I hear it when people say it, and it feels the same as when I was walking through the fucking airport the other day and I saw somebody wearing one of those Let's Go Brandon shirts that says underneath it JFB, or FJB, the fuck Joe Biden.
Oh yeah.
And
in case you really don't know what
some
the dog
people
whistle
literally
means.
don't know that because it was a thing for a
they
second.
don't know.
It's not happening.
Then they're not in the club.
But that's what I'm saying, dude.
What good's a password if you explain what the password is for under the password?
But it's still a password because it's in letters. It doesn't actually say Joe Biden.
It's
like
a
double
clue.
password.
It's a clue.
So, but I was looking at that and I thought, I'm not a Trump guy. I don't really like Joe Biden, but I can't imagine buying a shirt and putting it on in the morning that expresses a thing I don't like. Like if I was walking down the street and I saw someone wearing a shirt that was like, I love Italian food, I'd be like, that's great, kind of a weird shirt, but good for you. I don't really like Italian food, but I don't give a shit. But I see someone walking around, they have a shirt that's like, Chinese food is the devil. I'm like,
well, actually, I mean,
I would totally different.
I would be like, dude, I'm on the same page.
It means something totally different. And
Japanese
I'm
food's way better.
Who cares? Keep it to yourself.
It is. That is a fascinating point that like, I already find it cringy when people are wearing shirts that endorse something because it's already like you're a walking billboard, but also be like wearing a shirt that's against something is like, yeah.
But that's different. That's just like you went
water
there,
parks.
you bought it.
Yeah, that's more of a tourist thing.
It was a souvenir.
Okay. Yeah.
That's different. This guy, who is the shirt for? And I'll tell you because it's rhetorical. It's for someone else that he sees in the airport to go, let's go, Brandon, me and you,
right,
buddy.
which is a weird thing to try to connect with people. It's like, let's find someone we hate.
Right.
To connect on.
That's the thing that
That
he wants
weird.
to
It's the
he
weirdest
wants to
way
make
to
that
try to
moment with
find a
someone.
tribe is to say, I also hate this shit.
Just wear the thing that you like. At least start there, and then other people are like, yeah,
Right.
me too, buddy. Italian
That's
food.
what I'm saying. I already find that a little bit like, okay, like
Right, that's
find
not
a way
for
to
me,
talk
but
to people.
It's
but
less
like,
cringy.
right. I totally agree. No, it's, I mean, going back to what I think at the top of your topic is, and I think Douglas Murray says, like, we're living in a time where it's all about getting worked up about something. Like everyone's getting worked up about, and it used to be, I think there is a fun to it. Like it's fun. Like me, I got friends and we pass memes to each other and news articles and go like, can you believe this? And that's fine when it's amongst friends as a way of like shooting the shit or vetching as the Jews say.
Sure.
But like when it becomes your whole identity and like you act like you're fighting some sort of secret war, it's really just so
Especially when you
exhausting.
get the vibe when you're like, they think they're winning, but there's not even a real war going on the way they think that it is.
And that's what COVID taught me. If you're not making money and basically like finding a way to build like a life that you want that ends up representing what you stood for as a person, and I mean like I'm not saying like maybe even for if it's gay rights or Black Lives Matters, if you're not just building a life that you can stand by, that when you die, it's like, I'm proud of everything I did, then you're losing. And you should be, and my point is that if you're doing that, you'll probably be happy in some respects. You won't be miserable. You know what I mean? If every day you're wearing your Black Lives Matters, this is going the worst direction, but like if you're wearing like, your Pride shirt, your Black Lives Matter shirt, or even like your Let's Go Brandon shirt, and every day you're pissed off because the world's not the way it needs to be, and you're just waiting for someone to like, give the signal so you can run the Capitol again or go after like, some retail business that doesn't agree with your views, like you're miserable.
Right.
You're only winning if you're actually just finding a way to be happy amongst all this chaos. And I think it was that way 20 years ago. I think it was that way 100 years ago. And I think that's this way now.
Yeah. And I think
that's a really good point.
Yeah, I agree with that. And
I just saw like people. Foster cats, you'll be happier.
But I think, that's.
Or a dog.
No, I totally agree with that. And like I think you already know this, but like I'm in grad school for social work, and I
didn't know it was for social work.
Yeah, and it's all about
good luck.
It's all about social justice and like, it
but
kind of.
It's at a like Republican Christian school.
Teaching
so
it's only
social
helping the people.
justice.
It's only helping the people who deserve it.
Right, and you're meeting in the middle, where everybody's they're like, tell us about your people.
It's a great program, but like I talk to Rob about this a lot. Like, I'm not a woke person. I don't want to be a woke person. I think it's dangerous and like not the way to.
What does that mean to you to be a woke person?
Like what you were saying, people who wake up every day and they're angry
It
because
consumes their identity.
Right.
Yeah, because it like the change isn't happening or whatever. And
Right.
like
Every
for
day
me,
is
I
a
feel
battle
like
for revolution.
yeah, and for me, I feel like I'm doing good work to the best of my abilities.
Right.
And like if I'm able to like help, 12 to 16-year-olds with their shit, whatever that means, like that's the good work I'm putting in. Like it's not about the social justice, like
blacking out your Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, like
social
I just think that
virtue
movement,
signaling thing.
Right. I forget who said it, but they said like think globally, work locally, or something like that. Like I really think people lose sight of that.
Yeah.
Like it's like you can't. None of us can change the world, but you can change the things right around you, and you can try to like make the people's lives around you that much better. And that's essentially what I try to do. And I mean, going as far as in my podcast, like just no longer just bring on like random fucking open micers hoping they'll share my fucking show, but just bring on people I like and who I think have ideas that I want to like hear or share. It's just like I'm trying to be a person that if I was to see myself from outside my own experience, be like, oh yeah, that guy, I'm impressed by that guy and what he's doing just on his own level with the people around him. But here's the thing, I understand it's hard. Like especially when we live in a world where like with social media, OnlyFans, and all this like public acknowledgement, likes and like shares, it gets to you because you feel like you're like, well, I must not be doing. Every time I look at my Instagram, I see I got 800 followers. I'm like, well, clearly I'm not that influential. So as much as I'm doing it right by my own standards, other people don't agree with me. And that's a reality. But I have to ask myself, does that matter to me so much? Because at the end of the day, it's like I look at other people who are like a lot of people agree with. I'm like, I don't agree with what they're doing. So do I want to just capitulate and do what I know will get people to agree with me? Or do I just want to live my life by my standards and hope that somewhere down the path it leads to something for somebody?
Yeah, I think that's legit. I have something that I want to show both of you guys.
Okay.
To wrap this up.
Okay.
I found a guy on YouTube that entertains me, and he offers advice. That's like his thing.
No.
Okay.
Was this supposed to be a funny podcast?
I try not to set any standards before
Whatever
we get
you want
started.
it to be.
Before we see this, can I ask what is this? What is the vibe here? What is this supposed to be? Because I've only watched the clips. Yeah. What is it supposed? What's the idea behind the show?
Well, I mean, the idea behind the show originally was I wanted to do another podcast. I didn't want to do it by myself because I don't like just I
agree.
I run out of gas fast just talking.
I don't run out of gas. I just feel ashamed afterwards.
I don't feel ashamed. I just get bored with myself.
I'm
just
just
not
like,
interested.
who want to hear that?
But and then she also was in the middle of grad school. She's now about 2/3 of the way done, but she was doing it and she was having to do a lot of like recording herself on camera for assignments and stuff. And then also having like interactions in her classes and everything. And she was talking about how she just felt uncomfortable. It's like, she's fine. As soon as there's a camera rolling on her, she's like, feels different. Yeah. And, it's just, she used to be a singer, but a classical singer. So it's all very like in a box. And so she off the cuff is not how she's used to operating. So I was like, hey, why don't we'll do the show together and it'll help both of us. It'll help you get used to the cameras, get used to, things kind of lights pointed at you and you're still able to talk. And then I'm not kind of just whipping in the wind and speaking to myself. So that was the idea. And then I don't know. I'm very open-minded about it. I don't have a set concept in my head to where I'm like, the show should always be this. It was originally designed as a vehicle for whatever the fuck I want to do. Because as you know, I've done like 5 different podcasts that were all about different things. And I was like, I kept spinning my wheels, making nothing, thinking, what do I want the next one to be out? Should I bring one of the old ones back? Should I do a brand new thing? And I thought, you know what? Let's just start rolling and let's go with this, the two of us, and occasionally have a guest. And then if some of those old ideas, like getting Michael Regilio high and making him uncomfortable can come back as a segment on the new show, then we'll do that. So it's really just meant to be the vehicle. Can we look at this guy?
Yeah.
All right. Can we put on our headphones and?
Oh, I put a headphone on?
I think it'll be the best way for us to hear him. You'll be looking at it over my shoulder, and we'll be looking at it on the laptop.
Cool. So with this lamp in the way.
Yeah, but it's a vertical video, so it should be
Oh,
okay.
now I feel like I'm on a podcast because I can hear your voice in my ears.
Do you like it?
Honestly, this is the first time I've done a podcast without the headphones on. It was actually pretty cool. It was pretty. I always expected it to be. Well, the problem is you normally talk over each other, but I think
Right.
we've done it so much that we know how to and also I podcast, so I know to listen to people. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I think we found a good mix.
Get the girl. Oh my God! Wow, this really just kind of dovetails the entire episode together, doesn't it?
I think so.
That's
I think
crazy.
a lot of themes that we've
Like, I
discussed so
imagine a
far.
video being like, okay, if you're gonna foster an animal, don't foster cats. You foster dogs.
I swiped over. I want to make it clear I did not look this up after our conversation. I had this ready.
I know,
So
I
it's
know, I believe you.
appropriate. Well, I just want to know if they're just watching this segment, you know.
God, I am so clearly desperate for a girl. It's ridiculous.
Look at okay, so you're seeing
Austin
the banner here.
Summers.
This could be your face right here, dude.
I see what you're saying.
And we could be with this
Okay.
Ivanka Trump looking 25-year-old or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I gotta say she's
Oh,
not my type,
no.
and I do typically go for blondes, but not that kind.
Coaching.
Yeah, and he's coaching.
How did you come across this?
I cannot remember how I found him. I think I saw a short that got recommended to me on YouTube
Yeah.
that was like
Yo, Rob, you ever think about leaving your wife and finding a new girl?
that was what it was, and but this is as many as you can get.
Think you settled, man?
We're gonna start with this. I want to see if I
Oh,
can.
gosh.
Is that?
I want to see if we end up hearing.
Why
it.
should
Hold on.
you day game? See, this is what's so tough about anything giving dating advice. The lingo just makes you feel so disgusted with yourself. Why should you day game?
Right?
Yeah, it's like
What?
I
Yeah.
already want to die a virgin now. I already want to be celibate for the rest of my life.
Babe, what are your thoughts on this fellow before he starts speaking? Do you have any?
Just based off
Yeah,
that?
just his shot here. Do you think he's like a handsome guy?
He
or
looks scared.
are you interested in what he has to say?
Sure.
Okay, let's find out. Let's see. I want to make sure we can hear this. Should have tested audio before you got here. I didn't.
Dude, what a life to just decide I want to make a YouTube channel. I'm going to give people dating, and so many guys want to do it. They want to give dating advice. They want to
Right.
be that guy, and I'm like,
I've never had trouble really dating in my life.
oh, I have. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to pretend I never had trouble.
I've never been like let me pull a bunch of chicks and all that kind of stuff. But I've never had a problem with it. I've never been like, man, no one in this world will. And I've also never been like, I should teach these other motherfuckers how to get ahead.
I would never. That's
It
the thing
never
where-
occurred to
no.
me. This is what
And I
this guy
definitely would
does.
never say stuff like day game.
Okay, I'm ready.
Just by approaching during the daytime, you stand out from the vast majority of guys who are too pussy to say hello to a girl.
True.
And think about it. The competition for you is inside of a girl's phone, inside of a folder in her phone, inside of a dating app in her phone, as one of the hundreds or thousands of guys that are messaging her. So
That's
when
real
you
shit.
meet someone in person, it encodes in their brain much more strongly, and the girl remembers you, she has a better feeling about you, and she doesn't have to
She can
take
describe them to
chances
the
with
cops
these
better.
random people that she's meeting on
can-
dating apps. She already has a base of contact with you. Another reason why you should do day game is because you have access to literally every girl. Every girl leaves her house. Not every girl goes on dating apps.
This guy does
or
sound
even
a bit
checks their
like
dating
he's up to
apps.
something.
Not every girl goes out at night and
He's like,
You can follow her home. You can see her address more clearly in the daylight.
oh
I
my
have tracked all these women, and I know a lot of them leave and a lot of them don't.
Yeah.
in that next video, peace.
Oh my
So why
gosh,
should you-
I hate
So-
the word day game.
I know. It's they just say why you should approach people during the day. That sounds wholesome and a little bit more just casual as
Sure.
opposed to day game. I just don't understand. I think one of the biggest problems with guys who follow these sites to learn how to pick up girls is they learn a vocabulary that makes them sound like losers.
Right.
And that's why that's why I feel like it's almost this is actually meant to stop guys from getting dates because they give them this lingo that just makes them sound like fucking nerds.
And if you watch the video, you think to yourself, he's talking to me like I've got potential. I'm not one of these pussy guys he mentioned that is afraid because he others those people who don't
right,
take
yeah,
it.
no, he does.
You know?
Yeah, but that's typical alpha male male
So I'm going
work.
to give you 3 financial leverage tools that you can use with your wingmen to take more action when you're out. The first
Never
one
bring your
is
wallet.
if you don't
She's-
Always have him pay. Makes you seem like you're the guy in charge, and he's desperate to have your affection.
I think this is about using, if you have money to
Yes.
spare, using it to your advantage while working. Well, you'll see, to work with your
Well,
wingman.
wait,
here.
before you go
Oh,
on to the
please.
next one, I feel like in the first video, he talks as if every woman that, is out in the daytime is interested in like.
Oh
being
shit!
hit
Yeah, no.
on.
Let me ask you actually, because you seem like a pretty
Yeah.
honest female. Like that doesn't matter, right? Like a guy approaching you doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to remember him in the daytime, right? Like you still need to find him attractive. You still need to like enjoy the conversation. Like it's not just if a guy comes up to you in the street and starts a
Yeah.
conversation with you, you're not immediately being like, oh my goodness, who's this dude, right? Like,
Right.
does it stick out to you? Because like I've heard this argument. And I understand the logic of it. The argument is basically like, what he's using is an argument that a lot of guys are making, which is that most girls are so used to guys approaching them on dating apps that a guy approaching in person
Is refreshing.
Is refreshing, basically, and already puts you above all guys. And I'm like, well, yeah, but they still want an attention from a certain type of person,
Right.
right?
And
Yeah.
this would be the same guy coming up to you at the gym, you know, which is every girl's favorite place to be approached if Instagram is telling it all.
Right.
Well, I think it depends, but definitely the concept of if you're at a coffee shop or something and
Great example.
the guy is able to do that, like that's already like telling you different things,
Well,
right?
Is that okay? Then let me ask you for my own self.
Yeah.
If I approach a girl at a coffee shop and just start a conversation with her, given your experience, is that going to give me already a positive rep because I have the ability to talk to her?
Yeah,
Or is she
I
thinking in her
think
head
so.
like, God damn it, I wish this guy would have just DM'd me on Instagram and I could ignore him.
I mean, but again, it depends on
girl to
the
girl.
girl.
Right. And if she already thinks that I'm somebody, yeah, okay. That's what
And
I
I
thought,
feel like
yes.
for me, like I would, you know, I would appreciate that the guy is brave enough to go up to a stranger and like
you
start a
appreciate it, but see,
conversation.
appreciating sounds like you're just like, props. I see you. Move along.
Yeah, if it
But
brings
it
you any
depends,
points,
it
it wins you
depends.
2 points.
Right. Exactly. And also it's just like, you're not going to be like, oh, that's a guy I want to get to know.
Well, and let's clarify this. Last guy you hooked up with that wasn't me, dating app or in person? How'd you meet him?
dating app.
There you go. That's all you need to hear. See, that's
Yeah.
the truth. See, and I really do feel like that's the majority is nowadays people use dating apps, especially women, because you it's so much easier to find what you're
And
looking
you get the
for.
buffer.
You get the buffer, the safety. You get to find what you're looking for. I think dating apps did ruin dating for men in the sense that women used to just find something around them that kind of worked, and now they're like, I literally have catalogs available to me.
Yeah, the amount of return
Tinder
matches
is the
insane.
Victoria's Secret magazine for women, except it's not a fantasy; it's an actual thing they can,
Yeah, and you know
have
how
a
many
chance.
miles away they are.
Yeah.
All right, let's find out how to use all of your extra money to get women.
Give you 3 financial leverage tools that you can use with your wingmen to take more action when you're out. The first one is if you don't approach 5 girls, let's say in 15 minutes,
Jesus.
your wingman gets $100. The next
Oh,
one is
yeah,
the
I've heard this trick.
Oh, interesting.
So you're applying a penalty
The
against
Floyd
yourself.
Mayweather method.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, he would get his friends to like all fight him, like 3 or 4 friends to like throw punches at him. If they got one hit on him, he'd give him $1,000 for each hit. That's what I heard.
Wow.
But it's like it's just a way of using an incentive of
What do
money.
you
to
think
get
of 5 girls in 15 minutes? How long? That only gives you 3 minutes of convo.
All he's talking about is
If you're
exposure.
tight.
He's talking about exposure therapy. This is just to get you over the fear of
This is if
approaching
you're afraid,
women.
which is
Yeah,
who's watching this.
of course,
Right.
Of course.
minute drill. So when you're in a busy nightclub, busy nighttime street, or a day game environment where this is possible, don't spend more than 10 seconds out of an interaction for 2 minutes straight. And if you do, you have to pay your wingman that $100.
Operate like a
Like a
on cocaine with a
Wow.
lot of great ideas for 3-part trilogies for Hollywood. Just run around constantly giving people ideas for the next best Star Wars sequel.
One of them's bound to be a producer.
I mean, that's what you sound like. If you're running around, you can't stay out of a conversation for more than 10 seconds. You sound like some sort of fucking like Disney Plus producer who's trying to find out the next big thing.
Well,
for
yeah, and
X-Men.
like how influential can you, or like how much of an impact can you, like, I don't know, like having a conversation with a girl for 2 minutes is like not a long time.
Yeah, it's tight. Stay close to the mic.
No,
there,
he's just talking about like so I mean a little background on me. Not only was I into learning about pickup, but I also worked for like the #1 pickup artist and got to meet other pickup artists. And I know like, it
Which
hasn't
one,
really
Mystery
changed.
or whoever that guy was?
No, his best friend Neil.
Not Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman, the man who wrote Sandman, and
No.
also the most Casanova motherfucker you ever
no,
met.
I know it. Strauss.
Strauss, yes.
Fucking Neil Strauss. I read that book.
Yes, yeah.
Which
yeah.
is it's fucking crazy. I'll have to tell you more about this later. But this dude who worked for Rolling Stone magazine, who's like a total nerd, found out about a guy who was like not particularly good looking or anything and kind of weird, who was like next level amazing at picking up women, could do it like just back to back. And so he went to interview this guy. He got to know him and actually got took under his wing.
Wow.
And there's this whole book that is, it's really almost like it reads like a novel because it's such a
Very much, like
it's a story.
a biopic.
It's not the how-to guide. That's not what that book is.
Which
The Game
is
what it's
weird because
called.
so many people bought it as though it was, and I'm
Right.
like, I mean, there's
It's a
some
story.
good points
How
in
the
there.
fuck did you know Neil Strauss?
Oh, well, dude, he's the reason. That's a whole other episode because he's the reason why I moved out here in a lot of ways.
What?
I know it's
How
kind
do
of weird.
I not know this?
Because I don't like to
We've
talk
been
about it
recording for
because
a fucking hour.
I know I don't
This
like.
is our
I,
ninth podcast
I
together.
don't like to talk about it because it's one of those things where I look back and I'm like, honestly, like I did not have to work that hard. I
is he-
probably could have ended up with the same results if I had just done my own thing.
Is he the reason you're just Ericson?
No, I don't know what the fuck that even means.
No, your name.
Wait,
You're like a one-name guy.
What, but he dubbed me that? Like,
Hey man, this motherfucker's name is Mystery. Okay.
oh yeah,
So
no,
what I'm
no, no,
saying
no,
is,
no.
did
I
your
was
pickup
never. No,
time
I was
give
never.
you your
I was
name?
never one of the coaches. I am close friends with one of his old coaches, and he's an awesome dude.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I cannot believe this,
Well,
dude. That's crazy.
I'll be back in LA again, and we'll pick up on that stuff.
Please.
100%.
Jesus Christ.
I like this a lot more than doing my podcast. Like I like seeing you in person and having
is
conversations.
better.
And your wife's an incredibly great, like middle person. Like, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
It's nice to have someone sensible.
Nervous.
It's
Really?
like KYLE, but she's gonna
Yeah.
come along.
I don't know who the
and
hell
get
that
her-
is. Is that another character from Friends? I didn't see that episode. What the fuck? Is that
No.
Ross's lesbian
No,
wife?
no. KYLE was Bobby Lee's girlfriend. They did Tiger Belly together.
Oh
Ex-girlfriend.
my god, I would not use that as the analogy, man. I like this a lot better than Tiger Belly.
Well,
It's not
sure.
as colorful, sure. But
It's half as. It's
He
the same
showed
amount
me
of
Tiger
Korean.
Belly before, and it is so chaotic.
Yeah, because
know.
they show all three angles at the
Oh
same
my gosh,
time.
I was not a fan.
All right, let's find our third method here. We're gonna
Okay.
wrap this up.
okay.
One for more difficult interactions.
So wait, who
or
sent
harder
this
girls,
to
have your
you?
wingman
No, I'm telling you, it just popped up on my YouTube as like a
Oh,
thing.
YouTube was like, we noticed you watched douchebags.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Maybe you'd like some more douchebags.
I finished my Neil Strauss documentary, and this is
we
what I
saw
got.
you watch the Neil Strauss documentary. We thought you'd like to learn how to make money off your
and
wingman.
If you don't approach in 5 seconds, he gets on.
Show me a good
more-
one, dude. Show me like a tip that's gonna blow my fucking mind. Like
All
something
right.
I can use today.
Look, I haven't watched this one yet. How to approach a girl. It's got 4,000 views. Let's find out. Here's
So
your
you
answer.
see a cute girl.
I
how do you
hold, so
approach
no,
it? It
stop
comes
right
down
now.
to-
Stop right now. Do you see what he does? Ladies and gentlemen, do you see what this man does?
What?
He uses thumbnails that he knows are to show for a quick second of a picture of him with a chick. It's
Yeah.
a subliminal message
Right.
to show his value
Right.
and the fact that he's like he's trying to send you this message of like, this is my life. This is
Right.
what I do. But really, like that's just like one chick out of 30 girls he had to coerce to letting him take a picture and then convincing them to let him use it on YouTube. Like, God, it's so gross, dude. Like, I hate it when guys use pictures with women as a way of showing value. It drives me fucking nuts. I think it's the most ungentleman. I like how she's looking at you like, yeah, you got to stop showing a naked picture with your buddies. Like, but it's just so gross, dude. And especially when you do it for pickup artistry, it's like, stop showing me the one time you were having fun with a girl and acting like that happens on every fucking fifth Tuesday.
Right? Just foster a cat.
Yeah, dude.
So you see a cute
It's
girl,
driving
how do you
nuts.
approach it? It comes
What's worse about that picture is it looks like he's not even telling her he's taking the picture. It's like from behind her back, he's smiling like, yeah, I'm so going to use this for clicks.
Yes, that's
Fuck
so
off.
True.
to this acronym ACII. You want to get her attention
ACII.
by first walking up
Always
to her, saying,
click.
excuse me. Then you go into context, tell her what you were doing.
The
so she
pin in the vagina, guys.
All right. Attention, context.
Acronym.
understands what's going
Sit
on. Then
across
you
it.
give her intent, so she knows why you're there, that you have the intent to meet her, and that
Across
she's
it.
cute, she's adorable, you wanted to get to know her. And then the last I stands for introduction, where you're shaking that girl's hand, introducing yourself so she knows that she's meeting someone. From there, you transition into either statements about her, so things that you notice about her that you've observed, a question that you have about her, or
This
an
does not
assumption,
work.
something that
I do
you
this all the
assume
time.
about the
Dude,
girl.
try this. A fan of my method with women. Here's
Let's
what I
go.
do with women. Here's what I recommend every guy do with women, okay? When you meet a woman, you actually start having a conversation with her. Ask her like 3 personal questions. It won't happen over 5 minutes. You'll ask her one, she'll go into it, right? And then find something that she said and then build off that, ask another question. And then listen to her and then find something she said and build off of that and ask a third question. And after that, when she's done, say nothing. She will not ask you a question. She will be lost like a fucking puppy, dude. She won't know what to do because it's like it's no longer about her, and she doesn't give a fuck about. If she asks you a question, you're done. It's in. You're in. She wants you. If she asks you a question, it means she likes you and she wants to know you. If she doesn't ask a question, it's because she was playing her own fucking like Larry King version with you and was just enjoying the attention every time, dude. And it happens like 9 out of 10 times.
Interview these bitches if they don't interview back.
I'm just saying what he's saying is only going to feed into her ego. Like asking her questions is not the way into her pants because
assume something about her.
Yeah, by all means,
safe.
that's better because at least you might get her riled up and trying to defend herself. You know what I mean? And that means that you're at least creating some sort of like, back and forth. But I about this every time I ask girls questions. Now I do this every time. I'll ask them 3 questions. I'll stop asking, and I'll just sit there and enjoy how like awkward it gets because they just can't think of how do I get out of this situation? How do we continue? What do I do? What? He's not asking me anything. Does he not care about what I'm thinking anymore? What do I say? Well, okay. And then they'll just look at their phone. They'll pull their phone out. I guess I'll see if anyone wants to talk to me on Instagram. It's like, look at this.
Oh my God.
I've got a life too. I foster cats, goddammit. There are stories to be told.
Like,
Is this true, babe? What do you do? What do you do after question 3? Are you hitting it back or are you checking your phone?
no, I would not check my phone.
Be honest though. Like if you're not interested in him, you're not going to ask him a question. You don't care. You don't give a fuck what he does. You don't care what it's like to foster kittens. You don't care about what anime card game he's into. Oh, UV6? Okay. Lead climbing sounds hard.
I'm not the right person to ask because
I'm married and happy and I don't have to answer these questions anymore.
No. It's not even that. It's I'm interested in people's stories. Like
She is.
I am.
Dude,
and that's why I want to be a therapist.
Okay.
Because
In
I'm
a
going to
way-
get paid to hear people's
Legit,
stories.
she has told me countless stories, and I've actually, when we used to, but even before we were married, we've talked about this. She will blow guys away later, but first, she'll blow guys away by doing exactly that because she actually is that chick. She'll be like, "Where did you grow up?" And the guy's like, "What?"
No, exactly. So so you notice that though. You notice that when you ask a guy a question, like his eyes go wide, and it's like he's like, "Holy shit, this might be the one."
that.
Like, holy shit, we are so used to just being the fucking interviewer, where we're just like asking you question after question, waiting for you to give a fuck about our own world,
Right.
And it never happens. And when it does happen, we're like, okay, don't fuck this up. Don't just.
You're
make
right.
it sound
We're not even ready with
interesting.
answers because we didn't expect to get asked the question.
Don't tell her about the dead cat. Tell her about the cat that
Right.
you raised until it was 6 weeks old and it loved you and it
the
was
one that
breaking your
made it.
heart to let it go.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's you see what I'm talking about, right? Because
Yeah.
most women, and that's why. My advice to men: play that game. My advice to women: if you want to blow a guy's mind, even if you just want to you don't care about fucking him, you just want to have a positive attitude about you. I don't know. Ask him about him.
Right.
Just maybe after he asks you the 15th question about what it was like going to high school and how you wanted to be a ballerina, maybe just ask him, I don't know, what do you do for fun?
I love that.
What made you move to Salt Lake City?
So glad you came by, dude.
Dude, this is a blast.
This is super fun.
Super fun.
Is my episode of your show ever going to come out?
It's
Did we
coming
record
out. I
that a
think
month
it's
ago?
the next one. I think it's the
Okay.
next one coming out. Yeah. So this is
Finally
great
get
timing.
Buried by the Austin comedy community. I've been waiting for that again. It'll be
Oh, dude, honestly, that's probably why I liked having any conversation with you. There is so much we can talk about. We
Right.
actually do shit, and therefore stuff actually happens. So we're not just talking about comedy is just getting wrecked, man. People gotta stop getting so upset about what people say. I was at an open mic last night, and there was some bitch in the corner that wasn't having what I said. Then she complained to the host, and I was like, I ain't having this. I ain't ever going back here. I can go anywhere, man. I was on a Kill Tony once. He said he liked it. He said I should come back again someday. Fuck, dude.
Red Band got off his iPad while I was on stage and watched me the whole time.
He giggled. So I think I think we know it's in it for me.
I know.
Yeah. I think I know comedy. Okay.
Thanks, dude.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Yo, you watched a whole episode of We Are New, the best podcast with viewers in the double digits. I hope you enjoyed it. There's more episodes and clips available for you in these locations. So please click on them and watch them. Maybe you want to know more about us. Maybe you want to feel like you're our friends. Well, we're very selective about our friends in real life, but you can feel like you're our friend if you watch more of our content. Thank you.